1 whole year ago, I was scrolling OfferUp and I stumbled across this glorious post, which for some reason I thought was a good deal, but it wasn't. And that's because this car has not moved from this spot in my driveway since I bought it over a year ago, and it's just been lurking in the background of every video I've made since the start of this channel. And most of the time, I'm just using it as a workbench anyway. But today that all changes because this is the beginning of me fully building this Civic to be unrecognizable, all on a budget. And today we're finally gonna get this car moved out of its designated spot in my driveway, starting with the classic trope of calling up the homies for some slave labor. Open it up.
Oh my lord. The reason why we bought this piece of shit was because it came with an air intake and it got a distributor. The distributor go to the turbinator. The turbinator make the crankinator go.
So today we're going to start by fixing the main issue this car has, and we're going to do that by pulling the engine, getting it ready for a fresh rebuild. But a little backstory on this car: the reason we need to pull the engine is because it's knocking. You see, the previous owner was from California and he didn't know that Vegas has something called flash floods. Especially when driving through them, it can be super dangerous and or harmful to your car. In this case, he has an intake that goes all the way down into his bumper. So from there, his car got a little thirsty, started drinking through a straw, and now it is knocking. But that's okay, because we're going to fix it today, starting by pulling everything attached to the engine. We started by disassembling pretty much everything suspension so that we could remove the axles. Then we just started tearing away at anything we could find in the engine bay. Roy, on your hood, like, was somebody bent over the hood? God, we're going to have to this guy. Next step, draining coolant. Whoa. That shit tastes sweet, dog. When it comes to the engine bay, you want to remove everything that's stopping the engine from coming out. And a quick checklist of everything that we did was pretty much removing the exhaust manifold and disconnecting it from the downpipe. Then most people take off the intake manifold. We actually didn't, and we pulled the whole engine with it. And the studs on the intake manifold as well as the exhaust manifold are really good spots to bolt the hoist up to. You also want to remove the battery and the battery tray. Under the battery tray in this car is where the plug to the main harness goes, and that way you can disconnect on the inside of the car the ECU from the main harness. Is this helping?
Yep, that helps a lot actually.
Oh, okay, I'll keep doing that.
Here you go.
Whoa! You're also going to have 3 main types of lines going to the engine. These are coolant, fuel, and vacuum, but there's only 2 fuel lines here and here. The 2 vacuum lines I remember moving that didn't come out with the engine were also here and here. Then there's just 2 coolant lines that go to the heater core, and those are the only 2 that aren't self-sustained within the engine and the radiator. Speaking of, I did remove the radiator. If you didn't, you would have 2 more lines going to the radiator you want to remove, but you would be removing those anyway if you take the radiator out. You basically do that just to gain room. It can also be helpful to take off some of your engine accessories. Some are required, like the power steering and the AC, because they're really in the way. And in this car, the AC bracket is actually part of the engine mount. But fun fact for the AC, if you don't want to recharge your system, which I didn't, you can just remove only the pump and leave all the lines hooked up. And it kind of makes it hard to get the engine out with all that stuff in your way, but you can make it work. And if you look here, I just zip tied all my stuff up. I also took out my distributor just to give myself a couple more bolts to mount the hoist to. You're also going to have to remove your shift linkage, and since mine's an automatic, it was just this thing held in with a clip. After all that's removed, the last thing you have is your mounts. It's best to take these out while you have the engine hoist holding the engine up, and you kind of do them one by one as you're removing it. But there's only 3 of them. It's going to be 2 on each side and then 1 behind it in the back on the firewall. But now we are dirty and ready to take this bitch out. Now gather round, boys, cause shit is getting real. We are finally getting ready to pull our very first engine out of this car. I feel like this is a pretty universal milestone for people that seriously work on cars, and it was a really big deal for us to finally be able to do this. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching, and subscribe to keep up with the build, because I promise you guys are not going to believe how crazy this car is going to look when I'm done with it, especially when you see how little money we actually spent on this whole thing. I also think it's important to bring attention to the fact that 2 of us removed this engine with the only pair of shoes between us being his flip-flops. I mean, seriously, if our dumbasses could do this in a slanted driveway with the passenger side of the car not even in the driveway with no tutorial, I believe in you guys to be able to do whatever you want, because as long as you have the patience and the tools, cars are just big-ass Legos. But now for the big moment you've been waiting for, pulling the engine in all of its 4K glory.
Hey, sorry guys, I kind of forgot my friend recorded this part on his Android, so it might kind of look bad.
Well, would you look at that? This boy empty, with absolutely no staining or damage to the driveway whatsoever. But we pretty much just got the motor inside yesterday, and now I still need to take the transmission off, which we already took off a couple bolts last night. This harness might kind of be in the way too, but I'm pretty impressed that we were able to get the whole thing out with that intake manifold still on there. Kept the AC as well, which is a big deal for me. We don't have to recharge that. Just a couple things I'll do from this point is it'll be really easy to get in there, probably just with some brake clean, honestly, and clean out a lot of this oil. And then as I work on the engine, I'll be cleaning all the parts as well. If you guys don't know, I'm making this a flip car, so anybody that buys this is going to get a full rebuild. I'm going to change up the whole interior. We're going to do a lot of work on that, but for now I'll probably just clean out all this stuff, make it look like a brand new engine. I might buy some of that aluminum colored spray paint and then paint the blocks if I care enough to do all that. But it'll be a perfect stock running VTEC single cam for whoever the hell wants that. I don't know. Okay, I got everything except the axles back together. As you can see, it's out of the driveway. Literally for the first time in like over a year probably, but I'm trying to pull it with the truck because I'm trying to push it into a different spot on the driveway by myself, which we'll see how that goes. Probably not good, but at least if something goes horribly wrong, I'll get it on camera. Yes, sir. And that, boys, was my exhaust. I took it and I backed it all the way up there, and then I pulled it with momentum, and I got the front to about here, and it hopped my whole wheel chock. Then my neighbor saw me killing myself, and he helped me, and now it's here. And now it's time to remove the transmission so I could get this thing up on the engine stand, and that should be pretty quick. I just need to take these brackets off so I can get the flywheel cover off and just remove all the flywheel bolts. There's not really much holding this on, but while I do this, is a good time to tell you guys about the transmission. This is a Honda Civic HX, which is the economy VTEC version. It's like an EX but weird, and not only do these have like a different eco VTEC, but they also use a CVT transmission. Now these particularly are known for just being completely dog shit and not reliable. I'm actually pretty amazed that this thing made it 220 some thousand miles, and after all that still outlasting the engine. But since we took the time to take everything out of the car, this is going to be a fantastic opportunity for us to manual swap it. Now though that the transmission is off, we're able to get this thing onto the engine stand, which is really easier said than done, because I'm not positive if there's a right way to be doing this or if I just have a cheap stand and hoist that don't go together. But there was really not much lining up safely that I was able to do here. I was lucky though that I got the engine leveler for the hoist, because that allowed me to just max that thing out and pull the whole thing as far away from the actual hoist as possible, so that I was able to hook it up to the stand without it having the hoist under it or on top of it or in the way of me setting it down safely. And that is pretty much everything for today in the video. But like I said, this guy is fully disassembled and ready to be rebuilt. It's kind of crazy though, because once this thing is out and everything is off of it, you really can tell how tiny it is. It's just like a little twink motor. This big ass automatic transmission was like almost as big as the motor itself. It's ridiculous. There's that. That's my manual one though, peep that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But if you guys watched this whole video, I super appreciate you, and you are one in a trillion.
There's only one of me in all the world. I am one in a trillion.
And I'm always trying to improve my content, but I think this video is a pretty good step forward in terms of quality. And if you liked it, please leave a like, let me know, subscribe, and keep an eye out for more of the Civic content. But as always, keep an eye out for that, and that's gonna be it for today. Thank you guys, see you next time.